Okay, so we are at the last 3 rounds of the Lost Olympiad, Stockholm 1937. A great book that maybe didn't get much attention because it was a great work of research. Many games were lost. This guy really went to try to find them. So the book deserves merit, attention, and care, because I mean, imagine how many hours of his life they offer use. This is around 16. It was played on August 12 in the morning from 10:30 to 3:40. And the game that is proposed here is Alexander with white against Kazdan. Alexander is from England, Kazdan is from United States. Alexander opens with e4, Kazdan plays e5. If I remember well, Kazdan was called the little Capablanca because he was really good chess. He was also a grandmaster, however. Also, if I don't know if in the time they already had the grandmaster title, I don't remember honestly. Because we are speaking of practically 13 years after the foundation of FIDE. FIDE was founded in 1924. This was 1937. So knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop e4, knight f6, castle, d6, and the bishop takes c6. The most vigorous line against the Steinitz de Fer, enforcing d4 without running into Noah's Ark. So it seems that the problem is that if you play d4 right away, there is b5, and after b3, knight takes d4, knight takes d4, e takes d4, and now we have queen takes d4, and I think this is the so-called Noah's Ark. I don't know why. He plays c5. Okay. Why this is the problem? Because now you should return back with a queen, and this is trap. But there is a problem, right? Maybe you can use this thing to upset the enemy with something like this. Now I know it's not ideal, okay? I know perfectly well that white has lost a piece, but it's different than from losing it here, because in that way you have obliged black to move his king, and you have destroyed a little the defense. Now, if this will make you win the game, no, I don't think so. But in my opinion, better than playing something like this, and he plays this. So what did you do? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Maybe one could play this. When he plays this, you take, and take back, maybe, and you have taken 2 pawns for a piece, and then now you have 2 isolated pawns that maybe you can exploit in some way. I don't know. Yeah. However, I think this kind of trap is very interesting, and as you can see, also if we watch this whole book, because I think this book is from 1985. Yeah, it's from 1985. This book is from 1985. So also watching the games from a guy from 1985 that annotated them, we learn a lot of stuff, right? Like a trap that I didn't know, because I honestly don't play e4, but I am growing fond of the idea of maybe of playing e4 one day, and so it's important that I watch some games. So now let's return back to the initial position, because in this way we also try to memorize the moves of the game, And why do I say this? Because there is another author, very interesting. I think his name is Ziadinov, um, Rashid Ziadinov, I think. I don't know. I will. Let me find you the book so you can see it. Yeah, this book called the GM RAM, written by this international master Rashid Ziadinov, uh, that has an incredible idea. By the way, I don't think I paid it $18. I think I bought it for a very cheap price, because that's what I do. I find a book that has a very cheap price, like $5, and then I buy it, no? Because in any case, this book, the idea of the author is that if you memorize the games, the last games that it gives you here, it practically gives you something like 50, how many games? Wow, 59. There are 59 games. If you memorize them, if you are able to memorize them, he says you will reach master level. I don't know if it's true, but probably it can be true, because most of the master players are able to remember many games. So let's return to Alexander Kazhdan with this idea of replaying the moves, because we want to memorize the games and reach master level. Strength, right? Bishop e4, knight f6, castle, d6. Obviously, it's not only memorization, but you need also to know what happens, because you need to ask yourself some questions, right? You ask yourself the question, what happens if black plays this? And try to discover why. And then you, at that point, you really become a master level player, because you learn the art of analysis, you learn a lot of stuff, right? So after castle there is bishop takes e6 to avoid that kind of trick that we saw, right? B takes e6, d4, knight d7, b3, bishop e7, bishop b2, f6. Strong point defense. Black has the two bishops and can afford to bide his time. Well, the point here is that this is a bad bishop, and also this is not really great. So he has the bishop pair, but it's not a great bishop pair at the moment. Maybe later it will be. Knight h4. So now the threat is knight f5 and queen h5, right? One of the two. Queen h5, if you play g6, you take, right? So one of the two moves is the threat. We don't know which one at the moment. g6, so he stopped both of them. Queen e2, and he plays f5. Honestly, this move, also if I didn't see the game beforehand, I can tell you that this move seems wrong. And this is strange, huh? This is strange, because Kazhdan, again, should be a Grandmaster level player. Here the comment says, this is too optimistic, as Alexander brilliantly demonstrates. Yeah. D takes e5, boom. Bringing his bishop into powerful play. With a threat to discover onto the white rook by e6 or e takes d6. Obviously, it's not the white rook, but it's the black rook, right? The discovery is on the black rook. Here there is a mistake. For the sacrifice knight, because this is going to be sacrificed, white will get a crushing attack. So let's see what happens. Bishop takes h4, e6, knight f6, and queen c4. With this powerful move, evidently foreseen, Alexander sets up multiple threats. What is the multiple threats? Queen takes c6, check, right? Or there is a discovery on the bishop if he plays e5, discovery attack, or he takes f5. So these are the possibilities, right? Notice that the black cannot castle because of e7 check, right? Something is gonna fall, so you must be careful also about that. In any case, after this, queen c4, c5, beautiful move by Kazdan, a brilliant risposta. Kazdan is not taking it lying down. He meets one threat by keeping the queen away from c6 and has in mind a crafty scheme for disarming the other. e5, knight g4. Now the thing is, if he takes here, thinking that he's going to take here, the other plays queen takes d6 and is threatening checkmate here. So kind of danger of the situation. We need to start to keep in mind that there are two sides, right? So after knight g4, what do you think white played? White played queen d5, attacking there. Alexander playing in this phase is superb. Both black rooks are now threatened. So now there is a threat to take here, okay? Because in case he takes back, you take the queen and then you take his rook. Okay. Rook b8. E takes d6. Bishop b7, nice move. d7, king f8, and now there is a beautiful move by white that is not queen take c5, but is queen c4. Wow, very interesting. I mean, look how beautiful is this, to have two pawns so advanced. If we could just have the rooks in the right place, but this rook is keeping this, that is attack, and this rook unfortunately is out of the play. So he's kind of running on fumes at a certain point. He needs to bring the other pieces into the game, and here is not happening. That's the real problem. Okay, so we saw b8, d7, king, queen c4, and now black plays bishop f6. Bishop takes f6, knight take f6. Kazdan is just staying alive from one move to the next by precise play. Now, if you want to do a good exercise, discover what would have happened if black would have played this move. Obviously he would have lost the game, okay? So you need to be kind of precise and careful. Okay, so after knight takes f6, there is queen takes c5 and king g7. If this is not a win for white, what is? But Kazdan is playing for his country, and his colleagues, and as Tartakover used to say, no game was ever won by resignation. Okay, all the white has to do, from Alexander's point of view, is to centralize his two rooks and squash the enemy flat. Knight c3, knight g8. Kazdan continues to find the only move to avoid a rapid defeat. He's going to blockade with knight e7. Yeah. Rook ad1. Obvious and apparently quite unanswerable. unanswerable. If black now blockades with knight e7, white will finish him off with queen e5, and here there is a nice analysis. But let's see what happened after rook ad1, because now knight e7 is not good. Black plays h6, yet again the only move. Kazdan is like a tennis player saving one match point after another. Had Alexander seen this ingenious move, giving the black king a flight, he would no doubt have prefaced the 24 move with queen e5. So it seems that Alexander missed this move, otherwise he would have played immediately this one. Well, unfortunately too late. It's too late also by 8 years. So, okay, what does white play? He plays rook f e1. It is ironical that each of these two powerful rook moves gives away an almost certain win, although white has every piece strongly in play and 3 pawns for the piece. Kazdan cannot blockade the passed pawn. His tremendous resilience is rewarded, and yet he can at last begin to play his own game. It was Dr. Ove who, at the end of the game, pointed out the magnificent consummation available to Alexander. So it seems that at this point, instead of 24 rook f e1, he should have played e7. Because after he takes rook f e1, when he goes to c6, for example, there is knight d5. So practically there is an analysis by Ove that is at least 5 moves long, and 5 moves is a lot to watch in a movie, a lot to visualize in a game, sorry. So please take it with a grain of salt, because obviously, yeah, to see 5 moves you need probably 20 minutes, right? Especially if they are not all fours. So after rook f e1, he played knight e7, queen e5, king h7, knight a4, rook f8, threatening f4. Amazingly, the center being established, Kazdan is beginning a kingside attack of his own. f4, rook g8. He switches to the g file and, in spite of everything, undoubtedly has the initiative. Knight, where is the knight? Knight c5, g5, knight takes b7, and rook takes b7. White has prudently exchanged off a black queen bishop, which would have been deadly in combination with rooks on the g file. Yeah, because it was, if you open the g file, it becomes a mess, right? Nevertheless, Kazdan, without relaxing the blockade of a passed pawn, contrives to get his heavy pieces into active play. Let's see how. c4, g takes f4, queen takes f4, rook g6, and queen h4, innocently threatening, obviously, queen takes e7, queen takes e7, d8, queen again, right? Yeah. Those passed pawns are still, so they are a threat, especially when they are at that level, they become something, right? So after queen h4, black plays rook b8, rook e5, queen f8 is trying to exchange the blocker, because the queen is 9 points, 10 points, but if you have them blocked there, they are not doing much, right? So instead, if he can exchange the queen for a rook or for a knight, well, he has a 6-point advantage at that point, right? Okay, so white played queen f2, rook d8, and here it says the changing of a guard. Black has made considerable progress. His queen is now free for active service, and his extra knight, though only static piece of wood for the moment, is nevertheless playing an essential part, while white extra pawns are achieving nothing. How did the game continue? With queen c5, c6, rook f1. So it seems that also in this case the problem was that the time was running out. Now imagine, guys, these guys were not playing rapid, huh? They were playing maybe 2 hours or 2 hours and 40 minutes for 16 moves. So it was kind of strange that they were always running out of time. It means that they probably understood the strategic part of the game at a deeper level. Why? Because they had more time to actually make it their own. Okay, so after king rook f1 there is queen g7, rook e2, rook g8. This is piling up, right? Crescendo, there is no doubt. Who holds the initiative now? Compare the diagram at move 21. Yeah, it's incredible how things change. g3. Oh, the other move would have been rook f2, okay? Rook takes g3. Boom. King h1. Obviously you cannot take that rook because it's kind of being a killer, no? Okay, so rook g6, he goes back. Very interesting. Queen b6. Now the threat is to promote here. Rook takes e6. Heartbreak for Alexander. One of the passed pawn goes. His rook now being tied to the defense of g2. Promotion would simply leave him a piece down. So he plays rook g1. Obviously you cannot take because otherwise it's checkmate, right? So what he plays is rook g1, but obviously you have a problem in Houston, right? Because black plays rook takes e2, which is amazing. Rook takes g7 check, and then rook takes g7, and now there is a real threat of checkmate here, right? So let's see what happened. h4, trying to create an escape route. Rook e1, king h2, rook e2, king h3, and f4. And here white gave up because clearly it's over. I hope you enjoyed this game, and let's go to round 17.